President Trump remains in Facebook jail tonight. The tremendous power of big tech on full display today as the Facebook account of the 45th president has not been reinstated. This morning, an independent review board upheld Facebook's decision to suspend President Trump's account back on January 7th. That after Trump posted this video on January 6th during the Capitol riot, voicing his concerns about the 2020 election, but also telling people to go home in peace. But the review board also told Facebook it can't just keep the president's account suspended indefinitely, putting the decision back on Facebook. Here's some of that decision. It was not appropriate for Facebook to impose the indeterminate and standardless penalty of indefinite suspension. Facebook's normal penalties include removing the violating content, imposing a time-bound period of suspension, or permanently disabling the page and account. The board insists Facebook review this matter to determine and justify a proportionate response that is consistent with the rules that are applied to other users of its platform. So instead of passing the buck to the oversight board, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have to make an official decision on Trump's account, and it's got to be sometime in the next 6 months. To the board's credit, they gave us access to those making the decision. This was a virtual press conference that happened this morning. We're going to get into who they are and how they came to this decision when we speak to Michael McConnell, a board co-chair, here in just a couple of minutes. Trump, for his part, released this statement. What Facebook, Twitter, and Google have done is a total disgrace and embarrassment to our country. Free speech has been taken away from the President of the United States because the radical left lunatics are afraid of the truth, but the truth will come out anyway, bigger and stronger than before. Talking about the election. These corrupt social media companies must pay a political price. Texas Senator Ted Cruz tweeting this morning, disgraceful for every liberal celebrating Trump's social media ban. If the big tech oligarchs can muzzle the former president, what's to stop them from silencing you? Now, of course, the liberals right now feel very safe and are loving this because, at least for now, their politics align with the people who are making these decisions at big tech. So everything's all hunky-dory from the left. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki responded to Ted Cruz's tweet this afternoon.
The president's view is that the major platforms have a responsibility related to the health and safety of all Americans to stop amplifying untrustworthy content, disinformation and misinformation, especially related to COVID-19, vaccinations, and elections.
COVID-19 and vaccinations, she says. Well, this from a White House that literally just broke its own COVID policy by taking this ridiculous picture with ailing and very vulnerable former President Jimmy Carter, while they still go mask up when they walk outside. So try to figure that one out. Jen Psaki went on to double down on censorship, talking about misinformation. Take a look.
So his view is that there's more that needs to be done to ensure that this type of misinformation, disinformation, damaging, sometimes life-threatening information is not going out to the American public.
So who gets to define what misinformation is? Is it the party that's in power? You remember when Joe Biden took this shot at the new Georgia voting law, a law that simply wanted voter ID for absentee ballots.
This is Jim Crow on steroids, what they're doing in Georgia.
Jim Crow on steroids, a law that wants absentee ballot voter ID, is Jim Crow on steroids. The left and big tech are on this ridiculous mission trying to convince Americans that Democrats just never lie to the American people. They're always telling the truth, and the other side is always lying. Here's a clue. They're all politicians. If their lips are moving, they're lying. We could sit here for hours and point out loads of lies from this administration, from Democrats in general. And then we get to the issue of the ongoing threat that President Trump poses. That will be a big factor for Facebook in determining if he gets his account back. But let's take a look at some of the other heads of state that have accounts on Facebook. Here's the account of Bashar al-Assad, Syria's president. He just posted yesterday, in fact. The UN says it has evidence that the Assad regime has used chemical weapons on its own people. Is President Trump a bigger threat than Bashar al-Assad? Keep in mind, nobody died during the Capitol riots at the hands of Trump supporters. There were medical emergencies and a cop shot and killed an unarmed woman. That's it. How about Iran's president, Hassan Rouhani? Here's his Facebook account. He hasn't posted since 2017. I guess he's not too active, but he has in the past called Israel an old wound that needs to be removed. I would think that would be inflammatory rhetoric by Facebook standards, but I guess it's not. How about China? We know a lot about their human rights violations. It's an awful regime that runs China. I would think loading Uyghur Muslims onto cattle cars and taking them to labor camps would be considered objectionable content. But I guess not. Yet the spokesperson's office for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has an account on Facebook, even though Facebook isn't even allowed in China. Endless stupidity coming from big tech on this issue. Meanwhile, our allies in the West had some pretty harsh words for Facebook when they suspended Trump's account. This is back in January. This is back in January from the spokesperson of Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel. The chancellor sees the complete closing down of the account of an elected president as problematic. Democrats are allowing their hatred of Trump to remove what American values they had left. Democrats, once the party of free speech, but now together with the mainstream media, appear to be taking this advantage, taking this opportunity to remove all conservative voices from the public square. They're enjoying watching this happen. They're enjoying watching people be silenced. They're celebrating it. The official Democrat Party tweeted this out today. Retweet if you agree Facebook should permanently ban Donald Trump. CNN's Jake Tapper yesterday, kind of along the same line, said he's considering banning some Republicans from his show.
How am I supposed to believe anything they say? If they're willing to lie about Joe Biden wanting to steal your hamburgers and QAnon and the big lie about the election, what are they not willing to lie about? Why should I put any of them on TV?
Yeah. Democrats have never lied to Jake Tapper. Can you believe that? Meanwhile, Tapper allowed AOC to say this just last year.
We're hearing it every step of the way from this administration. First, we were hearing it was a hoax. Then we were hearing that everything was fine.
It was a hoax. That's a complete lie. Tapper didn't check that lie. Loves having AOC on. She's great for the ratings, of course. Tapper has had on leaders of Black Lives Matter, a radical anti-American group whose lies about policing have led to an explosion in crime, responsible for an increase in deaths in black neighborhoods nationwide, as our cities devolve into chaos, as our police are running scared. They have no support. BLM is behind all of this. They're a Marxist organization. They admit to that. Tapper loves having them on. That's fine.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.